Hello, my name is Alexander Morari and I'm the founder of ITKeyMedia. You've tuned into our podcast about Central and Eastern European startups that are in pre-Series A stage. And our guest today is Michał Czapracki, the co-founder of Scramjet. In a nutshell, Scramjet is the first computing platform to introduce TaaS. That's a new notion we will cover. This is transform as a service model based on the successful Scramjet framework. And the aim of the company is the current serverless model by adding flexibility, democratizing access, and offering persistency and efficiency. Dzień dobry, Michał.
Dzień dobry, Alex. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, great to have you. And by the way, guys, on your screen, you have the inventor of a new acronym that is probably the next stage in the evolution of all the acronyms in the industry. It's a very specialized, it's a very niche product, I understand, which is growing like hell. And let's start with this warm-up question. How would you explain the necessity of the evolution from SaaS to FaaS to TaaS, which is your own invention?
Yes. So as you know, function as a service is already a new thing, something that has been sparked by AWS with the Lambda service. It was intended to control or run processes. You know, for instance, if your cloud infrastructure was getting too hot, or you had too many users on one single server, you could essentially run a special function that thought, okay, this is a situation in which we need two servers, or maybe we don't need two servers anymore, so they could actually automate stuff in the cloud. However, this is a really simple case of a customer-driven development, where Netflix and some other companies came in and said, well, we really like this way this works, and we want to use this for our API. And basically what Netflix did, he said, okay, we want to run those functions every time a user comes to our website and wants to play the film. We want to stream the film because we are really good at it. We're better than anyone else. However, we're not going to be better in just serving users, with where the film is, or what's the title of the movie, or everything like that. And they said, just build an API on top of this, and they did. Then in 2016, early 2016, there was an API, and this was a tremendous hit, because once before that, you would have to first start the server, then have a system, then you have to update it, upgrade it every time. You have to check whether you have all the security patches and everything like that. Now Amazon takes care of that for you, and others have followed with Google Azure Functions, and even now Alibaba has one, and there's so many services there, open source services as well.
IBM.
They all, yes, including IBM, VMware, you name it, any big cloud provider has a function as a service system.
Yeah.
And the only problem with that is that once the data is very big, you will hit the limits, because every single data point has to be processed by its own server. If you have two data points that come, one after another, that's all fine. You're good. You're going to be paying just for that time. But once you get more than one data point at the same time, you will spin up more servers, and that means that they can't really make those servers run all the time as long as they want. They can't allow those systems to run in a what we call a stateful thing. But what all you need to know is that once the system has run its course, it will forget everything that it's done. So you don't have, if you run an operation for every single user, then first you have to know, is this the user that I'm going to serve? Do I know the user? I have to access the database. I have to do multiple things over and over again, just because you have this system that essentially was built to do something else than it actually does.
And so, Michał, just to understand your escalation of the problem, with complexity of the data exchange and data channels and so on, your function as a service becomes friction as a service. And this is what you want to avoid, right?
Yes, I haven't thought of this fantastic name, but fantastic anecdote. But yes, you're right. Once you want to transform the data or transport the data or do any tease with the data, essentially, when the data is big, so it's in terabytes, function as a service doesn't work for you. And this is why we came up with the idea of transform as a service, which is essentially putting the data in a stream. A stream is essentially, think about something that flows, like you have a file. When you read that file, if you want to watch a video of this podcast, for instance, that video comes in like small chunks that
discrete.
are
it's discrete. Yeah.
Yes, it has those like tiny
packages.
bits and pieces. They're one after another. And what we do is essentially we allow those streams not only to be processed, there are other systems that actually do that, but we can take that stream and process it within the same machine. So the same machine that transfers the data also can change the format of the data and then output the data. And once we have that system, if we can connect it to the cloud, and we have our management nodes that connect those systems, then we can say this program does some processing. Let's say you have a stream of invoices. You've been making sales for all the day, and now the day is closed, and you have your stream of invoices that need to be processed, that need to be taken into accounts, and everything needs to be checked in your company. Then we will take those invoices one by one. We will then start processing them, and they will be processed as they are being uploaded. So you don't have to first upload it, then start processing it. Not only that, but also we can then run those programs in different places, because we can connect them. You can install your own server. You can use our system as a serverless system, but it doesn't matter from where the data flows. As long as it's flowing, it's already being processed. So you're essentially winning all the time that you've been waiting until the the data transfer is being completed.
Michał, and in this context of invoices, so imagine this is a continuous process, right? I am a big retail chain, and I have 3,000 shops in Poland alone. Let's say, you know what I mean. And so I have, let's say, those cash register documentation coming in all the time, okay? And imagine I am sitting on an SAP kind of infrastructure. Then, for processing data, right? I need this in my data for some analysis, BI, and so on and so on. Now you say that you can take this data from cash registers from 3,000 shops or so, and then directly transform, already analyze or digest the way the end user needs this in the accounting system or in analytical and so on, without going to server.
Exactly right. So
will this mean that you have an arrow and a bow, and your arrows are targeted at all those big cloud service providers like AWS, Amazon, and so on? You want to go, Is this how you're trying to hit them? Okay.
You could think about it like that. However, the truth is that the market is growing in such a manner. Cloud computing is an unbelievable market. It's $2.7 billion, and what we're doing right here is actually bringing more money into the system, because we are targeting. We have that arrow pointed at something completely different. We have the arrow pointed at something that the current AWS or SAP or other companies don't do. This is something that they essentially have the data somewhere, but then it needs to be transferred. And we're just saying we have a solution in which you can bridge that gap, start your own server somewhere where the cash register is, there is usually a server there already. You can ingest the data over there. And then we have a system that you don't need to know anything about the cloud that can automatically connect. But this is not only that benefit, because think about it. If I'm processing the data as it comes in, then you don't have to wait for the next day to know how much you earned. You can see every single second how much you've earned.
Yeah, on the go, like instantaneous. And there's one thing I wanted to maybe to introduce a correction. You say to bridge the gap, and I would say again, I want to stress this, not to bridge the gap, but basically you're trying to bypass those cloud service providers. Now, then where is the catch? Where is the catch for me as the user of cloud service providers, AWS and so on? Where is the catch if I'm can I completely rely on TaaS solution that you're trying to develop or you're trying to implement as well with pilots and so on? Can it be completely reliant on your solution, or this will be a backup or maybe a compensation? Temporary compensation for some deficiencies or lack of optimal solutions from cloud providers.
Okay, so what is most important to say here? This is not a band-aid. This is not something that we imagine as putting a band-aid on a really big wound that the technology has. However, those software systems that we're talking about are so incredibly complex, and every system that you build right now, I mean, even a simple website in 2021, when you write it, when you develop it, it has usually something like 20,000 different pieces of software, and these are open source systems that you kind of ingest into your website just to print out whatever it is. If it's a nice button that you're using, or you want some analytics, or you want something like I don't know, maybe
heat maps, maybe whatever. Yeah,
that doesn't matter. You will have a piece of that product inside of your website. And if we go to cash register systems, even the cash register is a very complex program, and then you have all the machinery that's behind it. And when we go down to corporation level, those systems are basically unbelievably complex, and we will always be just a part of that system. So anything you build in these days, you have just part of that system. We only aim to be very, very, very well, doing very, very well at that part that we're doing. So we don't want to be one solution to rule it all. I don't think it's possible at this time and age. What we aim to build is a system that allows you to transfer data, to bring the data from different sources into one single database. If you want multiple devices to be connected, or multiple versions at the same time, or like users that don't update their apps, for instance, you have multiple data sources or data formats. We want to allow you to do it simply, and this will, first of all, if we're doing something simply, it means that you won't have to spend. And I had just a meeting with a company that said, well, what we usually do when we set up a new service, it takes approximately 2 or 3 months of time to really design it. This was a rather big company, a scale-up that does a lot of development for other companies as well. Also, even a simple infrastructure for those systems, it takes them one or 2 weeks to actually set up the infrastructure, even though you will find, a Kubernetes cluster. So you'll find, on a website of a Kubernetes is one of the systems that you could say, in a way, compete with us. So the system that they're building, they're essentially saying that, okay, you can set it up in a couple minutes, but in order to set it up
with your solution, you mean with your solution?
With our solution, it's still a couple minutes. You will have to download it. You'll have to install it on your machine. You'll have to write a program. But once you have written the program, once you have issued a simple command, you'll have that program running in seconds. So, I've from the demo I've sent you, you can see that specifically. I know that there's lots of terminal commands, and I'm really sorry about that. But this is the kind of crowd that we're aiming this at. So we're aiming this at software developers who can basically do something that takes them weeks of time to do it in 10 seconds, because everyone in the world is trying to connect multiple locations with each other, multiple databases, multiple systems, and we're just bringing some sort of a backbone to them that they will be.
I just wanted to ask you to make a kind of a sum up, like what benefits you bring to your users. But when you say 2-3 weeks a month versus 10 seconds a minute or two, I'm sold. It's like you are selling extra time, and what's the most precious asset we have?
Exactly.
Time, right?
That's something you can't buy,
but something you can sell them.
Yes, of course.
In a way.
That's not only that, it's because the system is actually more efficient. And I'm saying that we have been tracking how much watts do you need to use to support function as a service and transform as a service, as compared, and you can't really compare that specifically. This is a specific use case in which we tested it, and we are more effective on wattage, which is very important. And this doesn't mean that we couldn't find another place where, function as a service would be more efficient, because it would be more efficient in a case where you have millions of data points that are coming at the same time. But once we go into the area that we want to go, we are, for every 1 watt that function as a service uses, we can spend only half of it. And this goes into quicker processing times, quicker.
Of course, it's not just that you are setting time or extra free time to do some other work and so on, but also to provide same effect or similar effect quicker, you decrease like electricity bills, but also you're helping companies on the ESG dimension, right? Wow, yes, amazing. Exactly. And I would say, if you take this as on your flag, you just go ahead to S&P 500, and approach them saying that our solution will help you get some extra points for your ESG policy. Speaking of that, Michał, speaking of that, let's move on into the business reality right now. Okay. Business-wise, where are you now with the reality? And I mean, who are your clients right now? What's the implementation history? Are you on pilots? Do you have paying customers? Introduce this dimension. Yeah.
There are 2 parts of this company. First is the open source part that has been started in 2016. This is the Scramjet framework. This has been downloaded as, I think right now, 320,000 times. It gets 5,000 downloads every week. So this is growing exponentially. I would say this is a moderate success at this point. This is not a massive download because, if you look at React or something like that, they have millions a week. However, this is a very specific system. So this means that we do have customers. The trouble with that, this is an open source system. We don't know who they are. We're building a system that we've proven the point that people want to use this sort of development platform. We have had previous deployments with, for instance, the very interesting one is OpenAQ. This is an NGO from the United States that built an open source database of all the pollution around the world. So they have multiple sensors, and they use Scramjet to ingest all of their sensor data from different sources. So essentially, if you go into their website, you can see all the places around the world with historical data, and you'll get a lot of any kind of pollution data. You can do research on that, and
let me just make sure, yes, people understand this. This is OpenAQ, like air quality,
yes.
and it's openaq.org, right? Or
yes. Yes.
And you know for sure they're using Scramjet.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
They're an open source company, and you can just see their sources, and
okay.
it is actually based on their ingester is based on Scramjet. So this is a proof of principle. Currently, we are in the final phases of developing the platform. So the system that we've built until now is something that we can work with. We are at this moment looking for good POC candidates, so proof of concept. We want to provide those potential customers with some kind of beta style of a system that will be for now free to use.
Yep.
But
and who could be a good target? Who would be a good target for a POC champion, let's say?
So we're looking for companies within 5 sectors specifically. However, we do believe that the system has a universal application. However, we are very focused on companies that do AI or machine learning. We believe that there's a very strong market fit in that area. We have really hopeful potential customers that approached us in the marketing and ad tech regions, including social media. So any sort of social media import. Imagine how much data there is to process in social media, and these things kind of interconnect, because you then what you want to do is to take AI for sentiment analysis or something like that. So these two things are interconnected. Third branch is robotics and Industry 4.0. This is mostly due to the fact that we believe that there's local data that can't be transferred to the cloud, that needs immediate processing. We have an offering for them that allows us essentially to install our whole platform on their premise in their factory, and they can benefit from sub-millisecond latencies. So essentially, if you have a robot in a factory, you want that robot to react to something to a sensor. If it's the round trip of the system from the factory to the cloud and back, that means, let's say, 20 to 30 milliseconds at best. That's not good enough for you. So that 30 or 20 milliseconds can mean a couple $1 million lost. So there's another area, and the 2 last ones is streaming, data streaming, so data business and data analytics industry, and oh Jesus, I forgot the last one.
It's already modern enough. It's like, I understand you are able to approach those companies cross-border, right? You don't care where the companies...
we can work fully remotely, so we can work with an engineer on our customer side. We do want those customers, so those POC customers would need to be companies that are able to develop their own, and do actually want to develop their own software based on the solutions that we provide. So we don't want to be a software house that just develops systems for others. We want to provide them with a solution that enables them to do something that, their competitors can't, for instance. So that's what we're looking for. But we're also open to we can help. We can find companies that are friendly to us, and they know our technology, and they will be willing to help.
Look, you are good for, I understand, like TaaS, and your solution is good for data intensive situations where, and in a way you could say like critically, it's critical mission kind of situations as well. Okay, and continuity and some kind of a redundancy or decreased latency would be important. Sometimes life or death. And combined, what pops up in my mind is probably self-driving cars as well. Have you thought of this? Would this be a good solution as well for those situations?
We thought about this. However, you need to take into account that this company has been building our product for 10 months. Well, I think we're fantastic in terms of actually time to market on such a complex product and such a complex project. I mean, the development team was working extremely hard, and unbelievable people that we've got on board. However, you need there's a question of are we stable enough? So we would love to work with self-driving cars. We would love to work with satellite systems. You know, you can think of anything that has a big chunk of data that needs to be pushed out from one place to the other. And the problem is that at this point, we're looking for customers that you know, can win a lot while they are willing to risk. And I doubt that this is a good match at this point. But by all means,
what do you lack to be?
Transform as a service is really good in that respect.
Michał, let's take it further. Then what do you lack? I mean, what do you need basically to be as stable enough to be interesting for self-driving car situations, or satellite, or remote surgical operations? I understand, and similar. What do you lack? What do you need to improve?
So it just takes time. It just takes cases. It just takes effort on our end and on the first customers that we're going to work with. So we're going to work very closely with those customers in order to make our platform as stable as possible. So this pilot is in the very, very bleeding edge, and companies that will jump on the TaaS system are taking a small risk. However, they have a massive benefit if they actually are able to reap the benefits of this platform. And once we do, let's say, those 5 pilots that we anticipate right now, we will have more or less a platform that works stably. We will work on the hardening part of the core, on the security aspects that need to be you know, on the highest level in order for a company like a company that works with medical data will ever be able to use, because this is, you know, not only very critical data, but also extremely private. So we do need to be ready for that, and this is also within our roadmap. So our roadmap includes a very strong focus on security and privacy, and in order to prove our point and prove our business to our customers, we are going to, you know, obtain whether those are ISO certificates or sister certificates that we can obtain to prove that the system is very secure. We are going to audit the system, and this is all going to be performed before we actually do a kind of full production launch of our platform in mid next year.
And you just made it clear to me how interesting and challenging and intellectual like exercise you have in front of you. This R&D layer upon layer upon layer upon layer on different dimensions and different levels of security, stability, and all of this stuff. It's like never-ending story, it seems.
It is a never-ending story, and by no means we can say, you know, we released it and now it's done, and we can then just sell it whatever we released. It doesn't work like that in this area. In IT, you have to work at least twice as hard just to stay in one place. So So we're going to have to expand and expand and expand. Luckily enough, we have really good backing, and we found Speed Up Group, which is our early investor, as well as angel investors. We also have a rather substantial backing from Szybka Ścieżka, which is a Polish fast track program. Yeah. Yes, EU funding for innovative projects, and those. All of that amounts to the sum of approximately $1 million already invested in the company. So basically, we have a path of continuing that investment and building upon it, building the as you can imagine, the whole process of building this most complex thing in the world. That we believe we're building right now. Sometimes you can say that it's worth doing something that is difficult because it is difficult, and that's basically what we're trying to do here.
Thank you for destroying this scenario as well, because now we covered basically round number 5, where we discussed investment and so on, but we will come back to this. And one last question, maybe two small questions before we finalize with this round 1. First, defendability. How defendable is the idea? Do you have any patents? Or is it just quick to develop and deploy and then conquer the market? So, what's the defendability?
So the defendability, first of all, we have two ways to approach that. First of all, the defendability aspect is not really there. No company other than us will be willing to go head into such a big risk. If you think about Google or Amazon or any other of those companies, if they before they want to invest in something like something very similar to what we do, first they want to know that it actually works. So we have some time ahead of us before we actually will have to defend. Second, there are no patents in software. I mean, they're very easily circumventable. So you can just change some lines, and this is a new algorithm. And even if you can actually patent it in some places of the world, it can't be patented in other parts of the world. So it's very difficult to actually get a patent on this. In order to make sure that this system stays what we want it to stay, and it is ours, we have done something that may be a little bit difficult to understand. We have given out the sources to everyone. Everyone can download and see the source code of our programs, see how they work, help us with the development. But at the same time, if it's open, there isn't an incentive for anyone else to do it in a different way. They will rather take the source code, which are still in our control. This is a system that allows other developers to experiment with it, to try to break it, to find holes, maybe install it on their own infrastructure. Maybe they will be slightly competing with us. But again, this is such a high valued market that we do believe, and we've seen with companies like Red Hat or Ubuntu, which is canonical, or for instance, much smaller companies like Nucleo. They all have their open source systems, and this is a way to go, because we want to give something that the developers will be wanting to use. And the first question would be, hey, what is this program doing? If I don't know, I want to install it on my own computer. So this is the approach that we're taking, and as many other companies, open source companies, have proven, this is one of the better ways of providing defendability in something as complex and as breakthrough.
Yeah. So your defendability is very close to dependency in a way. Yes. So, and you're using this Gillette formula. Here's your shaving machine, everybody has the same, but then the blades are a little bit different. You need something like that, and then you will have to come back to us. Okay. So this is this, and then disclose something that you can disclose now about your pricing strategies. How would you earn per kilowatt saved? Of course, joking, but anyways, how do you plan to charge for the service?
So
on
This is a very difficult question. We severely. I mean, we tried on numerous times of trying to find the right pricing that we're going to apply for this. I know that we can offer this service in a very competitive manner. The question is, what does it mean competitive? Because for some applications, this system is 1,000 times more efficient. For some application, it is equally as efficient as the others. And you have, you can think about the alternatives as function as a service, or building your own servers, or anything like that. So it all depends on the application. And we want to be maximizing the profit, but we want to also be able to deploy the system to as many users as we want, and provide this system in a very, very cost-effective manner. We would like the system to be usable by somebody who spends less than $100 per month on cloud services. We would like to be for that service to be cost effective and great value for a company that spends $10,000 US per month. So it's very difficult. There are different models, but what I can say is that you will be paying per hour of runtime, and this will be in the cents area. So this will be rather inexpensive, and this will be very competitive compared to our competing or alternative solutions.
Yeah. So it's like they say, if you want to just disrupt a niche or some space, you don't only need to be cheaper, but also like 10x, 100x more efficient or
yes,
or quicker.
This is the way we want to do it. So we don't want to be cheaper. We want to be more efficient. And this is why the system will probably be less expensive for our customers in those applications. However, we can't really say how much, and we want to bring value, but we don't want to, sell something, for $1 million just because we can. We want the system to be we would rather imagine ourselves as a system that is applicable to nearly anything in the internet, and it's more like a backbone to the internet than a system that's just used by BMW and SAP and those massive European or American companies. We would want this system to be used as widely as possible.
That's the motto of the co-founder, basically, to be used by every business imaginable on the planet. Let's move on, Michał, to round two, competitors. You said that you are creating something unique in a way, and TaaS is your own invention, which is a clever way to create a kind of a blue ocean for yourselves. We understood that AWS, Google Cloud, Azure, and all the rest are not direct competitors. Do you have any direct competitors then?
If you think about direct competition in terms of running the same system in the same model, no. However, we are in the general market of selling computing time. So in that space, we definitely will be competing with companies with big companies like Google, AWS, and Azure. However, on the other hand, we have a number of companies that are more or less our size. There's Nucleo, there's Lightband, the inventors of a very renowned system called akka. There are companies like Iguazio, there's Confluent, a company, really big company that created Kafka, which is one of the actual backbones of the internet. We would love to be as successful as they are. And we have also local competitors in the EU, like Koyep or Anyscale, for instance, from Poland. So these are companies that all sell some sort of access to computing power in different ways. And in that sense, we do compete. However, the market is growing in such a quick manner that every year the market is 30% bigger. So there's space for everyone. If you want to take a piece of the market, you're taking a piece of the market that's just being created. And what we want to do, rather than create or compete for the customers that are already in the cloud, we want to bring massive numbers of customers to the cloud and actually double the market by just being there.
So it's a cooperative competition, you could say, right? By competing with others, you're increasing, as you said, the size of the cake, basically, and you're taking crumb by crumb by crumb.
Yes, and this is very interesting because you can actually think, okay, we can be a replacement for function as a service, but we can also work really well with function as a service. If you think about it, a system that runs some data points that you just want to work, and those data points come from Twitter. We can work with Lambda in such a way, with AWS Lambda. If you run this our system in AWS, you can run a program in Scramjet Cloud Platform that will access the data straight from Twitter and push it into Lambda. And this is, in a way, this brings a lot of money to Amazon. It brings a little bit of money to us, and that little bit of money is actually substantial enough to be one of the biggest companies in the EU.
Okay, interesting. That's a good signal. Michał, with this, let's move on to round three. Round three is a series of quick Q&A and quick questions. So first, your own productivity hacks, not the tools, but the ways of doing things.
I am really, really bad on productivity hacks. I would say I try to take breaks. I try to exercise. I don't think those productivity hacks that people have actually work probably for them. Everyone has their own system. I would say the one thing that I feel that is very important is that I try to work whenever I feel like working. I want to be, sometimes I work, into the middle of the night. It feels counterintuitive, you'll be underslept the next day and so on and so on. But there's sometimes the moments when you are alone with your thoughts, when you have the right flow, and you can just basically do something that normally would take you like 8 hours, so you can do it in just one. And I would say use that time, work for a company or start a company that is that doesn't force people to work whenever they need to work in your understanding, but whenever they feel that they are most effective. And I think that has proven the point. It has the downshot that sometimes you need to make sure that people are not overworked, that they take breaks, that especially right now in the remote work time, you need to make sure that your employees who are somewhere else, you can't supervise them. You have to of course trust them, but you can also sometimes tell them, hey, are you guys all good? Are you feeling good? Do you Do you know that you can sometimes take a break, that you should go on a vacation every now and then? And I would say try to keep balance of work, because when you're doing creative work like this whole company does, you don't work when you work. You work all the time. You work even if you sleep. And there are some people, exactly, there are some people who think, okay, I have this small notebook by my bed, because I sometimes wake up in the middle of the night and I just need to write something down because I'll forget it. And I would say try to have balance, try to work whenever your body is ready to work, and use it efficiently. And this is something that allowed my not such a big team. We have only 12 software developers on board. We've built a big platform, which is normally built by teams, not a team, within 6 months. So that's the way to do it. And I would say that try to exercise.
So there's a dilemma of co-founder and CEO of the company, let's say. So you say give this freedom of working when you feel you like working, and like creative like flows and so on. I understand, but anyways, how do you compromise this with? I mean, how do you balance this with the necessity of pushing deadlines? Hitting deadlines, right?
Well,
you are setting deadlines. You are showing the direction of the company, and if you give everybody creative license to work when they feel working and so on, you lose your Gantt charts, to your forecast about delivering something. Yep.
So first, my advice to that would be scrap the Gantt chart. That's the
I use it as a figure of speech. I mean, you are then losing to your own plans internally.
Of course, we do have a Gantt chart somewhere in our business plan, but it's a constantly shifting Gantt chart. We are using Scrum to work on our project. So essentially, we say that we have an idea what we want to build. We have a minimum set, but we always build more than the minimum set. We always deliver more than that. We have then much more in our backlog than we can actually fit within that specific time, and we try to actually hit all of our deadlines way before we actually hit the deadlines. Then we can actually work on fixes, on improvements, on having a really good backlog. This takes. Quite frankly, I don't understand the problem of planning. I have been planning a massive project for big companies for multiple years right now, and you can deliver what you've promised, as long as you promise something that you can deliver much easier than you are. The minimum set has to be within grasp, and then you can plan more features and use priorities. This is common knowledge, I would say. The problem is that once you have a customer, once you promise too much, once you have an internal structuring within the company where that promise is a promise that can't be broken at any point, and it doesn't matter whether you're doing good for the customer or not good for the customer, as long as the promise is delivered. That's not the way to go. However, if you have a sensible project plan, you will deliver on it always. And if you have a development team that's behind you, that team will do anything that's in their power to deliver not only on that promise, but actually to supersede whatever they did. And that's what I have in this company, and I can't really say much more to that.
So you do all you can to turn your backlog into forward log.
Yes.
You could say. Okay.
Yes.
Nice. Nice. Michał, then from another point of, from another side, so to say. So can you share with us any unique or exotic tools, apps, programs that have helped you a lot or just a little? And I mean, beyond the regular stack, like, you know, Slack, like GitHub, anything that you've discovered recently, because there are so many.
Okay, so so this will sadly be very, very geeky and a bit software developmenty. We have discovered quite a big improvement in terms of software development. So what we have, our systems are basically, our developers are developing our platform on a server in a data center, you know, at essentially a server provider. So they don't develop systems on their laptops, and this is a massive improvement because when you do software development, you download and upload multiple very, very small files. And this takes a lot of time over the you know, home internet, whatever you have. Especially if your internet connection is not very, very fast in terms of the ping. So if you're on broadband, that's fantastic. If you're on some sort of 3G network, 4G network, you can't really do software development. And this is somewhat true to any sort of bigger system, you know, using a bigger system than just, you know, simple word processing or something like that. Yeah. So instead of running that programming environment on the laptop, we actually use Visual Studio. This is Microsoft's, I would say, one of the best systems. I'm a Linux user, so I am. It's really important for me to stress it out that this is the best, in my view, software development environment that you can get. But the thing is that once you actually move your development to the cloud and develop it there where your system actually will work, then it is significantly easier. And this has I would say, help us, you know, save hours and hours of time every week by not, you know, waiting around, by everything happening instantaneous. So, and this is, you know, on a general note, I would say do invest in services that that are not on premise, that you don't have to spend time on fixing, on setting up. Spending a little bit more money on a system that is just supported by someone else always makes sense. This is an exception because we have our own servers that, or we have leased servers from OVH, which is a very, very, very cool European cloud provider. But apart from that, we're basically running everything there, and that's a really massive improvement.
Okay, and why is it not widely used then by software developers?
You know, it's one of those features that you need to know about, I guess. It's like, you know, that's, I don't know if you know, but you can actually use dark mode in Word, in Microsoft Office. You can turn it to dark mode and, you know, work at night with writing Word on a word processor. I can bet you that that this is not a common knowledge. And there are things like that are, you know, hidden features that are a bit difficult to find. I think this is one of the best features that Visual Studio has introduced, and it's worked for us really well. But well, yeah, I mean, it takes a bit of time to set it up, but I can tell you one thing. If you go to GitHub, if anyone who's listening to us is a software developer, if you go to GitHub, open any repository that you like, go to github.com/scramjet.org/transform hub, and just press the dot key. And that will start a
don't tell. So go to GitHub, and in any repository and so on, just press the dot key, right?
Yes.
And see what you get. Even I don't want to know this.
Okay.
So that playfully, we just helped you lose your competitive edge, and now everybody knows you can do this directly on the server.
Yes, but on the other hand, I want my customers, my community to know about those things. And in a way, I think that the team that I have, the company that me and my co-founders have built, is able to compete with others just based on my minds alone. We don't have to keep all the stuff by ourselves.
Yeah. You can always create new competitive edges. Let's move on to round 4, the company. So we discussed this already a little bit. Now you have a team of 5 co-founders: Michał Czapracki, yourself, CTO, Wojciech Sacha, Rafał Stakowski, Barbara Koźbiał, right, and Natalia Czapracka. She's your...
she's, how do you call it in English? My sister-in-law.
Yes, okay.
She, although it has to be said, she's there because of her track record. She worked in previously in P4 Play, which is the biggest telecom in Poland. She worked in Samsung. She's a fantastic person to actually build a company from ground up in terms of marketing, and she's the person behind all our looks and all our wording and all our go-to-market strategies. So this is one person. I can go through all the others because that's
it would be unfair to other guys, of course.
Yeah.
Then in a nutshell, let's go with Wojciech, CEO.
So Wojciech is so first I go a long way back with all my co-founders. So Wojciech I've actually known from childhood, and he's a lawyer who worked for World Bank and Ministry of Regional Growth in Poland, and he's also been working on startup and IT programs, and he's as anyone, but I mean he has so many hidden talents that this company has brought out of him, which for instance fundraising and actually building a company from ground up without in the middle of the worst possible time to start it up in the middle of pandemic. So this was a fantastic person to do it with. Another fantastic person is Basia Koźbiał, who's project manager and a person who is incredibly impressive, because she did big data before anyone else has actually thought of that, because she was involved in the GeoPortal project in Poland back in the 90s already. So this is a very seasoned project manager and IT operations person. And finally, Rafał, who's an IT manager or infrastructure manager in our company, and he brings the experience from companies like Agora and a number of startups later on, as you can probably see in his background. But he's a fantastic person in terms of ability to even, he's one of those versatile persons who can run your server on the nearly the programming side, but he also knows how to actually install it in the rack. So as you can see, these people are kind of all versatile, but they also are a group of people that can actually run a company in every single aspect. So we have a corporate lawyer, we have an operation person and project management person, we have infrastructure, we have marketing, and we have software development in me.
Yeah, there's an obvious complementarity, you could say, to your skill sets and areas covered. Which was by chance or by design?
That was by design.
Okay.
We've met up, I think, in March last year, where we initially thought about setting up a company, and in fact, it was an evening in which I was calling Wojtek and talking to him. Listen, there's this idea. This is not something that you have done before, but I mean, there's the pandemic. If we can sort this out, we actually had just 2 months to file in the fast track grant application. So it was very little time to just ramp up a team of people to write documentation of 80 pages of grant application. With every single detail of the go-to-market strategy, of the innovation part of it all had to be done. So then I was calling, for instance, Rafael called me at the same time, like just a couple hours later, and it was just all within one day when it's just kind of come together. And out of the blue, 2 months later, we had a registered company, and it took us a bit of time before we can actually we were actually ready to start work. But on January 4th, I believe, this year, every single employee came to actually my apartment and signed the papers, because we didn't have an office yet, because we had to set it up and everything. And in the pandemic, it was very difficult, but yet we actually did that. So
crisis times are great times to start a company. If you start and go through the crisis, then anything else is not as scary, right? They could say. So Michał, altogether you have, so 5 co-founders complementing each other, 12 or so, I understand, people in the dev squad and product team combined.
Yes.
And this is not all. I understand you are looking and hiring for positions like automation tester, C++, devs, DevOps, senior backend, framework development, and so on. Just for the lack of time, let's move on to round 5. You covered this already, summing up your investment history by now. So grants, investment, angels, pre-seed round with the Speed Up Venture Capital Group, all combined, it's somewhere at the $1 million kind of $1 million, right?
Yes,
$1 million total investment.
Yes, we already we have already secured quite a lot of capital, and this is of course a preliminary phase for us. What we will be doing next year, well, I would say somewhere around late spring, that will be essentially a seed round, which will provide the go-to-market funds, especially where we need to focus on much bigger investments in the marketing area and the information diffusion areas, where what we do right now is more like learning what we need to do. And at that point, we will be trying to to get the message across and show developers especially what we need to do. And this is a very, very difficult and you can say also expensive target group, because developers are not only very hard to approach, they're also very, very specific. They want very specific and very direct information. And this is, when we initially made some sort of a product deck, it wasn't yet fully a product deck, but it was something that we were showing to developers. They said, I don't want to see PowerPoint slides. I don't understand anything from the PowerPoint slides, which is completely a different situation to showing that to, for instance, investors who, if you show them the code, they will say, oh, we don't understand anything from the code. But the developer will tell you, show me the code. And we also need to work on making, and we're actually doing this right now, where we are making our code, our repositories, our documentation as approachable as possible and very straightforward. And what we then need to do is to secure a further founding ground for further growth. Our plans are, I would say, rather big. We want to achieve substantial growth already within the first year of product development. I don't want to talk about numbers specifically because it's very difficult to actually know how this system will grow. But I would say, like 2 years from now, I think that being net, how do you call that, positive, or that our revenues are basically covering our costs. That should be achievable. So
2 years for break even, right?
Yes. So this is it's going to be quicker depending on how successful we are. But I mean, within 2 years, this is definitely achievable, and this is a very fast growing sector in which we do intend to be a major player, and we do need funding for that, but that's right now. I would say at this point we are rather okay. We are not looking actively for funding, but we will be trying to make new contacts as we go, because we know that choosing the right investor. And I can say that the Speed Up group has proven our point that when the investor is really honest and they have been very honest from the start. They have they've been open and they've been very clear of what their intentions are. That's an investor that we can build a long-term relationship with, that will bring not only the money in, and but they will also bring a value that we're looking for. And this is for us, this is very important to get to start the next round with an investor that's bringing more value, more also competence, because this is something that we can always use. We are looking for partners that will help us, that will advise us, that will let us know, when we do something good, when you do something bad. Not only just expect that we'll just deliver something, or it's it's someone who wants to go on an exponential growth, which is exponential growth has had rather bad press lately, mostly due to COVID. We want to be on an exponential growth, but the problem is that if you're growing by line, the initial growth is slightly bigger than if you kind of go wait a bit and make some more investment, and then when you grow in an unbelievable scale. And that's what we want to achieve.
Yeah, speaking of VC as a VC contribution. Not only like to expect like revenue and ROI and their investments and so on. What came to my mind is that quite recently, like maybe 5-10 years ago, there was a new notion in the HR industry, and they introduced HR business partner, meaning it's not only a person knowing all the payroll, like sick leaves, but also knowing very deeply the essence of the business. That's why it's called HR business partner. So I was thinking now, you're like the startups, especially young startups that are really need somebody who would take them by the hand into like bigger, deeper waters and so on, need VCs as a business partner, right? Or should I say VC business partners, not just VC who invest and then expect deliverables from you without contributing on the merit side.
Yes, that's of course.
Yeah, that is an ideal setup. So we wish you not only to find such an ideal VC, but also to have, to go from success to success, from one discovery, let's say, on your R&D journey to another one. And you just described a whole universe, basically, to conquer step by step. Thank you very much for the chat. Michał, all the best. Good luck to you and your wonderful team of co-founders in the Dev Squad.
Thank you very much, Alex, and thank you for everyone who've listened to us. And hopefully, we are going to be successful and achieve quite a lot. But it's always good if you keep your thumbs or keep your fingers crossed, and that's it.
We keep fingers crossed for you. You show successes, and then we bring our thumbs up. Thank you. All the best. Bye-bye.
Fantastic. Thank you. Bye-bye.